Naveen's poetry is typified by highly individualistic attitude, sharp social sensibility, and keen political observation. Now, Bangladesh sees a dearth in the domain of drama written in English. One noted dramatist, Said Ahmed, concerns himself with survival in a natural calamity-prone homeland. In his plays, The First Thing and The Milestone. His plays, Survival and The Last King, combine Bengali folk stories to depict the exploitation of the masses by the rulers. Whereas poetry and drama in English have been mostly written by writers residing inside the country, the domain of fiction is dominated by Bangladeshi diaspora in Australia, UK, and America. Adib Khan is a Bangladeshi diasporic writer who lives in Australia. His novels, Seasonal Adjustment, Solitude of Illusions, The Storyteller, and others, have won global acclaim and are mostly concerned with themes of self-identity, sense of belonging, migration, and social dislocation, which is very important for all the diasporic writers. His style is characterized by lucidity and sarcasm. Tahmina Anam belongs to the group of writers who were born after the liberation of Bangladesh. Her novel, A Golden Age, is set in war-torn Bangladesh. Now you could question why I'm not talking about Taslima Nasreen. Taslima Nasreen has been rejected by Bangladesh, and Bangladesh does not recognize her as Bangladeshi writer. They have, in fact, scratched her nationality, citizenship. Well, short stories in English are gaining ground in Bangladeshi writing. Here, among others, Khadimul Islam, Qazi Alis Ahmed, and etc., they write short stories, and each year Bangladesh celebrates its major Bengali language book event, the Ekushe Boy Mela, where a host of writing in Bangla is published and showcased. Here, English has no place of respect. Again, primarily Bangladeshi literature in English is basically a corpus of translated works. Similar to the situation in the other two South Asian countries in discussion, creative writing is sparse in Bangladesh. The situation needs serious attention by scholars of English. Rigid linguistic regionalism is good, so far as identity and nationhood is concerned. But in an era where social, economic, and cultural survival depends upon communication and globalization, nations, while respecting their own linguistic heritage, should shun polarities and open up to internationalization through a national consciousness. As Fanon states, I quote, "The consciousness of self is not the closing of a door to communication." Philosophic thought teaches us, on the contrary, that it is its guarantee. National consciousness, which is not nationalism, is the only thing that will give us an international dimension. Equality, dignity, and human security is important, but it is also important to think about humanity as a whole. In order to save mankind, we have to learn to live together in concord in spite of traditional differences of religion, civilization, nationality, class, and race. We have to know each other's past, since human life, like the rest of the phenomenal universe, can be observed by human minds only as it presents itself. Words of wisdom from the great historian Toynbee can be recalled at this point. He says, Toynbee says, "We must learn to recognize and as far as possible to understand the different cultural configurations in which our common human nature has expressed itself in the different religions, civilizations, and nationalities into which human culture has come to be articulated in the course of history. We shall, however, have to do more than just understand each other's cultural heritage, and more even than appreciate them. We shall have to value them and love them as parts of mankind's common treasure. And the vehicle for this has to be English, which is the common language accepted internationally for all kinds of transactions." In conclusion, I would like not to give a closed-ended view, but a more open-ended view. I would like to say that this paper offers a perspective on the position of literatures written in English in three important South Asian countries like Myanmar, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, who wallow in the throes of rigid linguistic regionalism, and I open certain questions to all the scholars of English literature and language. The identity and survival issues of South Asian literatures in English is explored along the lines of colonialism, post-colonialism, class, ethnic distinctions, linguistic regionalism, culture, globalization, and migration. It is also important to look into the connections these parameters offer and to see where they have positioned themselves in relation to English language in contemporary times, and how South Asian literature in English is going to be shaped in the future against all odds. Actually, we'll have to look at the odds more than look at the evens. Because we have to find out a way, because English is our survival. The Department of English survives on English literature and language. For the survival of humanities and the departments of English, we have to see how we can help the scenario or change the situation concerning these countries in South Asia, which do not speak, do not accept English as something dear to their hearts. Thank you.
Now I request the chairperson of this session, Dr. Bhagwan Jadhav, to present concluding remarks.
All members of this August gathering, I would really congratulate the speaker, Dr. Shridas, for having taken such an issue of immediate contemporary relevance. In her presentation, she spoke about the status of English language and literature with regards to Myanmar, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Whatever she has talked over here, and the manner in which she has highlighted the unwanted fears and the anxieties of the people of these three nations when it comes to using the English language and coming out with literature in this language. All of us will agree that these unwanted fears and anxieties actually they have to be minimized, and on behalf of this seminar that has been organized, I would request Dr. Sudhir Vikram and Madhvi Vikram, I mean, if they come out with the electronic issue of the journal, there may be several people related to these three nations, the manner in which she has dealt with the issues over here. They may get an opportunity to know what's happening in India and how the Indian audience are looking at the literature of Myanmar, Sri Lanka and even Bangladesh. And I think that will be a fruitful activity. Maybe they will seriously think about this. One reason I feel is that apart from the antagonism, if the native writers are not very eager to write in English, then maybe the translators can do their job. But again, translation also is not a very easy sort of a task. And you will find when you go through the history of translation that a couple of translators, they have invited a lot of trouble because of undertaking such type of activity. And in India, if you know Emperor Shah Jahan's son, Emperor Shah Jahan's eldest son was Dara Shikoha. Dara Shikoha, he was a very liberal Islamist, and he was very much influenced by the Vedas and the Upanishads. And what Dara Shikoha did was, he translated the Upanishads from Sanskrit into Persian. So I mean, he was the first type of sort of translator who had undertaken such type of a thing in India. And because of that, Dara Shikoha had to pay a very, very heavy price because he translated the Upanishads. And he reached the conclusion that the reference to Nur-e-Kitab in the Holy Quran, he said that it was no other book but the Upanishads. That was the conclusion which he reached. And because of that, Aurangzeb, he felt a great threat. And the growing popularity of Dara Shikoha, it made Aurangzeb very restless. And there were not one, but there were 3 wars between these two brothers. And ultimately, Dara Shikoha, he was killed. And that is how the history of India, it has changed. Aurangzeb became the Emperor of India. And all of us, we have seen, I mean, how then it was the rise of the Maratha Empire, so on and so forth. Now, translation as that was done by Dara Shikoha, if this is the attitude of the people of Sri Lanka with regards to the English language, the abhorrence, and saying that it is the black people being whitewashed, so on and so forth. Maybe the translators also may be on the back foot. They may not be very, very happy to come out with the translations into English of the native literatures. I thank the organizers of this seminar for having invited me over here. And I know Dr. Sudhir and Margi, and both of them, they have been actually experimenting in different ways. First coming with one journal, then again the next journal, and then now again they are planning to go with the electronic version of it, and organizing such things. I mean, it really requires a lot of efforts to run journals, because I have been requested by so many people to begin such journal in our region, but I didn't have the courage. I know how much time it consumes, and they have been really doing well. So I, from the very bottom of my heart, I thank the organizers. I also thank all of you for having listened to my talk. Though there was some disturbance in between, but then we have to be more careful about that. Thank you all of you. Thank you.
I thank the chairperson for having come here and blessing this session. I also thank the resource person for having enlightened us, and I thank the participants to listen to them carefully. One important announcement regarding feedback form again, I repeat, the participants have to note their register ID at the top of the feedback form, and only after submitting your feedback form you will get the certificates. We are going to go ahead with the next session. So with the permission of our chairperson, I declare that the session is over. Next plenary session would immediately begin. So you are not requested to disperse or move from your places.
Respected guests and my dear participants. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Sudhir and Dr. Madhavi to give me the opportunity to stand in front of you. And I take the privilege to stand in front of you share some ideas. Anyway, I was just listening about a comment made by a resource person here. He has referred to Shah Jahan's elder son Tarashiko, and his contribution regarding the synthesis of Indian culture Upanishads with Islam, and he referred to Noor. I just want to quote from the Holy Quran. In the Holy Quran, Allah says, Allahu Nuru Samawati wal Ard. So Allah is Noor. And He has compared human heart with the lamp. So in a house, a lamp illuminates the house. Similarly, the Noor of Allah illuminates our heart. Anyways, apart. Let me introduce to you my topic. My topic for today's discussion is feminism and Islam. Reflections on Muslim feminist writings in South Asia. First of all, I would like to make it clear that South Asia being a wide area, I would rather stick to Indian subcontinent, mainly India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan. I would like to quote from the Holy Quran in the very beginning. No, from the Hadith, which is the teachings and preachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Khairukum li ahli. It means that the best man among you is one who behaves with his family in a good way. Then from the Quran, Holy Quran, I wish to quote. Anyway, I will try to explain to it. I will try to relate this with the term, feminism or what the feminists want to say. Firstly, I would rather try to define in brief what is feminism, and I would rather not go in detail because all of us know what is feminism and where it came. Feminism is a women's movement started in the late 18th century with the publication of Mary Wollstonecraft's Mary Wollstonecraft's A Vindication to the Rights of Women. But my argument is that if in the late 18th century women have to fight for their rights, in the late 18th century, why not let's go back to thousands of years back, in the early 7th century or late 6th century, when Islam gives women their due right. Islam gives women their due right in the early 7th century. So, then, if we go to define feminism, it has many phases to develop. Okay? But I would rather say in this regard that Quran or Islam gives women their due status. Islam gives women their due status. I would make a quote from Simone de Beauvoir's 1949 book, The Second Sex, where she says that one is not born, rather becomes a woman. This is the argument with the feminists. They say, they talk about gender inequality. Okay, they talk about the subjugation of women, etc. But what Islam says, because my argument will be mainly on the basis of two Islamic texts, the Holy Quran and the Hadith, the teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Now, and then after that, okay, because I did say that the early feminists were liberals. Okay, they wanted only equality with man. But no, later feminists, what they became? They became radicals. Okay. They didn't talk about equality. They even went beyond that. They shifted towards difference. Okay? They tried to establish their identity through difference. And I would rather say that the Bangladeshi writer Taslima Nasri, she tries to write in that perspective because she has shifted from objective position to a subjective position, because later feminists, they started writing from a subjective point of view. Because earlier feminists, they argued that women were not given opportunity